Hello and welcome to today's episode of Economics USA. I'm your host, Emma Gaffney, and today we will be discussing the rising debate over the economic characteristics of everyone's favorite technology company, Apple. What is Apple? Is it a monopoly, an oligopoly, a fruit? We will talk to our nation's leading economists, Dr. Aaron Bean, Dr. Brooke Stanton, and Dr. Jake Stasel to find out the true economics behind one of the most successful companies in the world. These world-renowned experts will help determine whether or not Apple shows signs of being a monopoly, oligopoly, participate in monopolistic competition, have parts of all, or parts of none. First up, we will be speaking to Dr. Aaron Bean. Dr. Aaron Bean is a PhD in economics from Susquehanna University, where she also received her license to practice medicine as an MD. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Bean.
Thank you for having me.
After reading your book and the educational journals you have published, I see that you've come to the conclusion that Apple is a monopoly. Can you please tell us a little bit about why you think this is?
There's a large debate across the globe that Apple is monopolizing the high-tech world. In 2007, Apple changed people's everyday life when it launched the first iPhone. At the time, BlackBerrys and flip phones were people's source of communication, but with Apple's new cutting-edge technology, the transition from Motorola's to iPhone went very quickly. Apple has many monopolistic characteristics, including profit maximizer. In 2017, Apple recorded $52.6 billion in profits and $229.23 billion in revenue. Revenue was only $8.2 billion in 2004 when Apple released the classic first-generation iPhone. The first-generation iPhone was released in 2007, priced at $499, and Apple sold 6.1 million units. In 2017, the iPhone 8 is priced at $800, and over 74.83 million units have been sold. Single seller. Although Apple is not the only producer of smartphones, you can ask almost anyone, and they will tell you they own an iPhone, especially if you ask a millennial. Price discrimination. Over time, this product became essential for many, allowing the corporation to sell it at a very high profit. The prices of iPhones have increased by over $300 in the past 10 years. Apple has manipulated consumers into paying more money for new phones when they are relatively the same product with minor updates. Apple is so successful because it knows how to target all different types of consumers. The App Store contains thousands of different apps for all ages and compatible for different professions. From communication to entertainment, the iPhone dominates the technology industry. Apple has also successfully mastered built-in obsolescence of its products, where they are designed to break and slow down over time. So Apple continues their flow of customers.
That is enough evidence to convince me, but we still have two other points of view to hear from, so let's go to our next guests. Here we have Dr. Brooke Stanton, who completed her PhD in economics from Syracuse University while also earning the ability to practice law. Thank you for being here with us today, Dr. Stanton. From listening to your TED Talk and other podcast series, your listeners have learned that you believe Apple has to do with oligopolies. Please tell our audience about this.
Thank you, Emma. I feel that Apple is considered as an oligopoly because of a competitor of Samsung. An oligopoly is a market form in which is controlled by a small amount of competitors known as oligopolists. The companies that dominate oligopolies usually maintain the position in the market because it is too costly or too difficult for any potential rivals to enter the market, which means that there are entry barriers. I consider Apple as an oligopoly in the smartphones operating systems firm because there are still non-iPhone users out there, even though it's pretty hard to believe. So basically, there are three characteristics of an oligopoly. The industry is dominated by a small number of large firms, and like I said before, the iPhone, which is owned by Apple, and the Android, which is owned by Samsung. These two are the most competitive operating systems throughout the world, and they keep on adding new features to the operating systems to dominate their rivals. Second, firms either sell identical or very similar products. The iPhones and the Galaxies have either the same features or slightly modified to appeal to their customers. In order to keep up with the competitors, both companies release a new version of their software about once a year. Third, the industry has significant barriers to entry. These competitors sell their products with extremely high prices, which make the industry very small. And they make these products very advanced so others do not have access to producing them. Both Apple and Samsung have the same strategy by having an expensive phone with a few advancements like the new iPhone X and the Huawei P20. And then there's a more basic version that's much more affordable like the iPhones 8, 7, 6, etc. and then the Galaxy phones. For the iPhone X it's $1,000 and for the iPhone 8 it's $800. The newest Galaxy prices include the price of the Huawei P20 Pro are also $1,000 and the price of the Samsung Galaxy S9 is $840. Just as you think as Apple's trying to eliminate the competition with its yearly fancy new version of the iPhone, its other competitors are doing the same exact thing with their very similar products. Thank you, Emma.
Those are all interesting points. There are obviously many layers to this discussion. Let's hear from our last guest. Our last guest of today's episode is Dr. Stasel, who, like our other accomplished guests, received his PhD in economics from York College. Dr. Stasel, please leave our audience with some insight about why you argue on your economics television show that Apple has characteristics of monopolistic competition.
Thank you, Emma. Apple can be considered as monopolistic competition in the branded computers. Compared to oligopoly, monopolistic competition has more competitors, thus Apple's iMac and MacBook are considered as monopolistic competition. These competitors share a computers market internationally. The revenue generated by them are close enough to keep themselves to stay competitive to the other brands. Monopolistic competition involves 4 key concepts that the computer industry shares. Large number of small firms and companies. There are more brands of computers and a variety of models. The most important computer companies include Apple, Microsoft, Toshiba, Acer, Asus, Dell, HP, and Google Chrome OS. Similar but not identical products sold by the firm. These computers all have a different look to them, and some models are made for different purposes. For example, Macs have been ranked number 1 for computer graphic and design, but Dells have been ranked number 1 for engineering. Relative freedom of entry into exit out of the industry. Supplies are accessible to the public, and therefore companies are able to access the industry more easily, being that there is a wider variety of computers. Extensive knowledge of the prices and technology. Like I said before, computer software is more common and accessible and allows more competitors to enter the industry and strategically design and price their products to compete.
Well, we have heard from these 3 profound academics and their opinions. I believe from this that it is a fair assumption that we cannot pigeonhole Apple into just one of these categories. I believe that it has characteristics of monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. I would like to thank these profound doctors for being here today. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for this analysis of the world's largest technology company. I'm Emma Gaffney, and this is Economics USA. Until next time.